You won't believe what happened when a frail, elderly waitress accidentally spilled coffee all over Barron Trump. What came next was nothing like anyone expected, and it's a moment that will change the way you see kindness, humility, and fate. In an instant, the power of a simple mistake transformed into something life-altering. Could this unexpected encounter truly reshape lives? Watch now to discover the incredible story behind this unforgettable moment, and make sure to subscribe for more astonishing and inspirational stories. The small diner on the corner of 5th and Main had been a staple in the neighborhood for decades. Its faded red booths and checkered floors had seen better days, but its charm was undeniable. Regulars piled in every morning, some for the coffee, others for the conversation. Millie, a frail woman in her late 70s, had worked there as a waitress for most of her life. Her hands shook a little now, her silver hair pulled back in a neat bun, but her smile was still as warm as ever. She had seen many faces come and go in her years behind the counter, some famous, some not, but she had never imagined that Barron Trump, the son of one of the most famous families in America, would walk through the diner's worn door. It was a chilly Tuesday morning when it happened. The bell above the door rang, and Millie turned from the coffee machine just in time to see Barron Trump enter, flanked by a couple of bodyguards. He was dressed casually, in a navy blue sweater and dark jeans, but his presence was unmistakable. The diners fell silent for a moment. Whispers spread like wildfire. "Is that Barron Trump? What's he doing here?" Millie's heart skipped a beat. She wasn't used to this kind of attention, and the thought of waiting on someone so famous made her nervous. She had always prided herself on treating everyone the same, whether they were a local or a celebrity, but today, well, today was different. Millie approached the table with a shaky breath, her fingers gripping the coffee pot tighter than she intended. She couldn't help but glance over at Barron, who was sitting near the window, scrolling through his phone. He looked calm, almost indifferent to the attention he was receiving. But then, as Millie reached the table, disaster struck. Her feet slipped on the slick tile floor, her body jerking forward uncontrollably. Time seemed to slow down as the coffee pot tipped over, splashing hot liquid all over Barron's lap. "Oh no! I'm so sorry," Millie gasped, horrified as she watched the coffee stain the front of his sweater. The room fell completely silent. All eyes were on Barron, waiting for his reaction. Millie's face turned bright red. She felt a wave of panic wash over her. She could barely catch her breath as she tried to apologize again, her voice trembling. "I didn't mean, oh God, I'm so clumsy." She instinctively reached for napkins, her hands shaking, but Barron looked up at her slowly. To Millie's shock, instead of scolding her or showing any sign of anger, Barron smiled, a warm, genuine smile. "It's okay, really," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. "Accidents happen. Are you all right?" Millie blinked, too stunned to speak for a moment. The man sitting in front of her, who could have demanded the entire restaurant be shut down, who had a reputation for being anything but approachable, was acting like the most considerate person in the room. "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to," she stammered, holding the napkins out to him, but Barron waved them away. "It's just coffee," he said with a slight chuckle. "No harm done." Millie felt a wave of relief wash over her, though she was still mortified. She quickly apologized once more and started to gather the napkins. "Let me make it up to you," she said, her voice still shaky. "I'll get you a fresh cup of coffee, free of charge, of course." Barron paused for a moment, looking thoughtful. "You don't have to do that. But I'd love some breakfast. Could you recommend something?" Millie was still trying to process the fact that Barron Trump was speaking to her like she was just another person, not someone beneath him. She had heard all kinds of stories about people from his family, how they carried themselves with arrogance and entitlement, but Barron's humility was surprising. "Of course," Millie said, finally pulling herself together. "Our pancakes are famous. You might want to try those." "I'll take them," Barron said, his voice still kind, his eyes locking with hers. "And don't worry about the coffee. I'm more than happy to have a fresh cup." As Millie made her way back to the kitchen, she could hardly believe what had just happened. She felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. So many people, especially in high society, were quick to judge and criticize the little mistakes of others, but Barron had handled the situation with such grace. The rest of the diner, though, couldn't help but watch in awe. The usual chatter had turned into quiet murmurs of admiration for Barron's reaction. "That was something," one of the regulars, Mr. Thompson, said to his wife. "I don't care what anyone says about the Trump family. That kid's got class." "I agree," she replied, nodding. Not many would have reacted like that. He could have made a scene, but he stayed calm and just smiled. When Millie returned with Barron's pancakes, she noticed he was still engrossed in his phone, but he looked up when she set the plate down in front of him. He gave her a smile that made her heart flutter. "Thank you," he said sincerely. "This looks amazing. And really, no hard feelings about the coffee. It's just part of the job, right?" Millie chuckled nervously. "Yes, but I'll make sure it doesn't happen again." Barron laughed. "I'm sure it won't." As Millie walked away, she felt a strange sense of pride. Barron Trump, of all people, had shown her a kindness she hadn't expected from anyone, let alone someone with his name. The diners around her were still whispering, but this time, the whispers were filled with admiration and respect for the young man who had reacted with such poise and empathy. Later that day, a post appeared on social media that quickly went viral. A customer who had witnessed the incident shared a photo of Barron smiling at Millie and the spilled coffee, along with a short message. "Accidents happen, but it's how we react that defines us." Barron Trump just proved that kindness and grace go a long way. #GoodDeeds, #Barron Trump. The post exploded. People from all over the world commented on Barron's unexpected reaction, calling it a rare example of humility and compassion from a public figure. It wasn't long before Millie's quiet little diner became the subject of media attention. A week later, Barron returned to the diner, this time unannounced, and when Millie saw him walk in, she smiled before even realizing it. "Back for more pancakes," she teased. Barron smiled back, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "I wouldn't miss them for the world. And I wanted to make sure you were doing okay after that spill." Millie was taken aback. "You really didn't have to." "I wanted to," Barron said. "And, if you don't mind, I'd like to pay for all the customers' meals today. Just a small way of saying thanks for everything." Millie's eyes widened. "You really don't have to." "I insist," Barron said with a grin. "Consider it a thank you for handling things so well." And just like that, Barron Trump had turned a simple mistake into a moment of connection, a moment that, for Millie, would last a lifetime. Subscribe to our channel for more stories that will remind you how even the smallest actions can have the biggest impact. You never know when a moment of kindness can change everything. Subscribe to our channel for soul-stirring stories.